Hello everyone. This is the eighth video of the series on previous year question papers of postgraduate entrance exams related to biological sciences. Let's continue with the detailed solution of year 2014 question paper of MSc Botany entrance exam conducted by the Delhi University.
So let's start with the first question. Two genes Z and Y are linked and are 30 map units apart. So after giving this data, they have given a cross, and then they are asking about a particular kind of genotype, the fraction of that particular genotype in the progeny. So let's see. The map distance between the chromosome can be used to elucidate the recombination between linked gene and vice versa. One map unit equates to a recombinant frequency of 1%. In the question, the two parental genes are 30 map units apart. That means among the progeny, 30% will be the recombinant and 70% should be the parental one. So they are asking about this type of genotype in the progeny, and we see that this genotype among the progeny is from the 30% of the recombinant, and since it is half of that genotype of the among the total one, so this will be half of 30%, that is 15%, and this is our answer, that is the second one. Next question, which of the following is not a sequence alignment tool? BLAST, CLUSTAL-W, MSA or SWISS-PROT? So BLAST stands for Basic Local Alignment Search Tool. So obviously it is aligning some sequence only. The CLUSTAL Omega, or we can say CLUSTAL Omega, is actually a recent version of CLUSTAL-W, is used for multiple sequence alignment. So this is also for a sequence alignment, and MSA itself stands for multiple sequence alignment. So this is also used for sequence alignment. But SWISS-PROT, it is a curated protein sequence database used for protein annotation. That is determining the protein function, its structural domains, variants, and post-translational modifications, etc. So the answer that which of these is not a sequence alignment tool is D, that is SWISS-PROT. Next question, sequences related by common descent in different organisms are called. The first option is paralog, ortholog, then homolog and analog. So let's see what all these stands for. Yes, this is very important, that you should note that both ortholog, that stands for log, that ends with log, and ortholog, that which ends for logue, they both terms are same, and similar thing happens with the homolog and paralog only. This is just a difference between American and British English spelling. So we will define the homolog. The homolog represent a divergent evolutionary relationship between genes and proteins based on their sequence similarity or identity. The ortholog and paralogs are type of homologs. The orthologs are same gene or protein in different species derived from a common ancestor gene through vertical descent, and paralogs are same gene or protein within the genome of a species. These are derived from a common ancestor through duplication event. And the fourth one, analog, represents a convergent evolutionary relationship between genes or proteins where they show similarity in functions even if they aren't related. So the option B, that is the sequence related by common descent in different organisms are called as ortholog, is correct. Next question, a DNA sequence codes for a protein with a mass of 61,650 daltons. Assuming that the average mass of the 20 amino acid is about 137 daltons, estimate the nucleotide pairs present in the coding region of the DNA sequence. So we know that the total number of amino acid in the protein it will be we will get by dividing the total mass of the protein divided by the mass of each amino acid. So we get, by dividing the 61,650 divided by 137, we get 450 amino acid. Now we know that a triplet codon of a genetic code encode for a particular amino acid. So obviously the total number of nucleotide coding for that region will be 450 multiplied by 3, which answer comes out to be 1350, and hence this is the answer. Next question. So this is a very long question. For your simplicity, I have just drawn this whole question into this figure. They are saying that the bacterial cell was first grown in a radioactive isotope of nitrogen, that is 15N, and then these bacterial cells were then transferred to a medium containing normal isotope of nitrogen, that is 14N, and it was allowed to multiply for two generations, the first and the second generation as represented in the figure, and then the second generation was again transferred into the radioactive isotope of nitrogen containing medium, was allowed to grow for one generation. So in this figure I have represented the DNA with a cross, and the DNA that the complete red color means both the strands are labeled between and radioactive isotopes, and the hybrid strand means that one strand black one and one strand is represented by red, and the complete black cross represents that it is a normal DNA having 14 and non-radioactive isotope. Question is asking that what is the expected percent of hybrid DNA after second generation in the 14N, and what is the expected percentage of hybrid DNA in the 15N. So the answer comes out to be that in 14N you can see that there are 2 hybrid DNA out of the total 4, so it is 50%, and in the you can see that there are 6 hybrid DNA out of the total 8, so that comes out to be 75. So the option B is 55 is correct. Next question. The coding sequence of the non-template strand of a gene has the following sequence. So they have given the sequence of the coding of the non-template strand, and then they are asking what is the sequence of the sense strand and the mRNA after transcription. So just see this figure. The non-template strand is actually called the sense strand. So our answer will be the first one, that is the 5 prime GCC AT GC TT CAT to 3 prime, and after transcription the mRNA sequence will be as shown. So the answer comes to be the B, that is you can see the sequence and match to the non-template or sense strand, the first one, and the mRNA sequence, that is the second one. Next question. Which of the following will hinder the equilibrium of allele frequency in a population? So allele are alternate forms of a gene located at the similar position or locus on a chromosome. The allele frequency is the incidence of a gene variant in a population. It is a reflection of the genetic diversity in a population. Mathematically, the allele frequency is calculated by dividing the number of times a particular allele occurs in a population by the overall alleles at that particular locus in the population, and it is represented as fraction, decimal or percentage, whichever is convenient. So alteration in allele frequencies over time or the change in equilibrium of allele frequency can occur by either the genetic drift or occurrence of new mutations in the population. So the answers comes out to be the D, that is genetic drift. Next question. Which of the following statement is not true for RNA interference, RNAi? So they are asking the statement which is not true. You just keep this in mind. So on the right hand side you can see the figure representing the RNAi mechanism, in which a double stranded RNA is attacked or it's cleaved by the molecule, the dicer molecule, which is an endoribonuclease, into small interfering RNA that is then recruited by the RISC complex, the RNA induced silencing complex, and this is accompanied by the degradation of the sense strand. The complex then goes with the antisense strand and then binds to the mRNA for its degradation. So RNA interference involves inhibition of gene expression or translation by degradation of targeted mRNA molecules. The other names are co-suppression, post-transcriptional gene silencing (PTGS), and quelling. Andrew Fire and Craig C. Mello found RNAi in the nematode worm Caenorhabditis elegans for the first time and got the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in the year 2006. And RNAi is actually an RNA-based reverse genetic tool used for gene function studies by sequence-specific silencing of a gene. So the option D, that it cannot be used as tool for reverse genetics, is wrong. Actually, it can be used as a reverse genetic tool as represented by the last line of the explanation. So D is our correct option. Next question, which of the following doesn't hold true for quantitative traits? So a quantitative trait is a measurable phenotype that depends on the cumulative actions of many genes, each segregating according to Mendel's law and the environment. These traits can vary among individuals over a range to produce a continuous distribution of phenotypes, and it also includes inheritance of a phenotypic characteristic, that is trait, that is attributable to two or more genes and can be measured quantitatively. So the option B, that is genes governing the trait do not follow Mendelian law, is wrong, because in the first statement itself I told that these quantitative trait genes segregate according to Mendel's law. So B is actually a wrong statement, which is the answer to this question. Now next question, sap feeding aphids are exposed to which of the following plant hormones? The jasmonic acid and salicylic acid are the two hormones mainly involved in plant defense responses against sap sucking aphid or infestation or their infection. So the option D, that is jasmonic acid, is correct. Next question, ripening and abscission of an apple from the tree is an example of PCD triggered by. The four options are given. So PCD stands for programmed cell death. It occurs asymmetrically during normal abscission of leaves and fruit upon ripening. Ethylene causes both the ripening of fruit and then causes programmed cell death at the attachment point of the fruit for abscission layer formation, which results into fruit dropping. So the answer C, that is ethylene, is correct. Next question, the exocytosis is an energetically expensive process because. So exocytosis involves specialized secretory cell to deliver molecules to out of the cell surface by membranous containers, and that is the secretory vesicles. It largely involves the organelles such as lysosome or endosomes and organelles of the secretory pathway such as ER and Golgi. And each of these steps is regulated by the actin cytoskeleton, which is constantly rearranged utilizing the cellular energy. So they utilize the cellular energy to rearrange the actin cytoskeleton for exocytosis. So the option A, that is exocytosis, is an energetically expensive process because the plant cytoskeleton is rearranged, is correct. Next question, chaperones are. So chaperones are actually molecular proteins that assist the thermodynamically stable conformational folding or unfolding and the assembly or deassembly of protein macromolecular structures. The chaperones also prevent both newly synthesized polypeptide chains and assembled subunits from aggregating into non-functional structure. The examples are heat shock protein or HSPs. So the answer B, that is chaperones are protein that facilitate thermodynamically favorable protein-protein interaction, is correct. Next question, nucleoplasm is a complex association of. So the nucleoplasm have chromosomes and nucleolus having nucleotide, that is DNA or RNA. Also it contains proteins supporting them such as histones, enzymes for various nucleus activities, and water as a base matrix component of nucleoplasm. So the answer will be all of the above. Next question, older plant cell have. So most mature plant cell have one large vacuole that usually occupies more than 30% of the cell volume, but in some special heavily secretory cells it may occupy even 80% of the cell. Young plant cell have tiny small vacuoles having variable functions, and this is also called as multiple vacuole hypothesis. So the option C is correct, that is older plant cell have a large central vacuole. So in the next video we will be dealing with the detailed solution and explanation of question 121 to 135. If you have any doubt in the solution, please do comment. Please like the video and do comment and subscribe to appreciate my work, and stay tuned for more upcoming solution videos of various MSc entrance exams related to biological sciences.